over here, we can, if we ask them, they can be, all of them can be moving bombs. And similarly, almost 2 weeks back, or rather last week, I heard another scholar saying that you should not watch that specific program because it's against Muslims, and whoever support them, they are munafiqs. And he gave a fatwa on that.
I am absolutely sure that anyone says who every Muslim should be a moving bomb is not a scholar. And the problem comes in here, brother. The real problem comes is that, you know, the real problem comes in is that, you know, they have a saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Yeah? Because we Muslims have reached such a low level of ignorance that people could actually think someone says something like that is a scholar. Because for many people, any guy with a turban and a beard is a scholar. That's it. He's got a turban, he's got a beard, he has 10 words of Arabic. Oh, mashallah. Scholar. Sheikh. You know. And really, believe me, that is the problem. Yeah? So, you know, I heard, even in the UAE, an Arabic, not that you could say most of the people in the UAE are not Arabs, but, you know, but a country with, you know, Arabs, one of the imams of the masjid was a Sikh. Yes, for 20 years, he just took it as a job. He managed to learn enough Quran. He was not a Muslim, he was actually a Sikh the whole time. But the people didn't know. They didn't know. The Sikh was leading them in prayer. He got found out, you know. But, and this is the thing, is that we don't, you know, our state of knowledge is so low. You know, it is so low that we don't even know who's a scholar and who's not a scholar. It's not a problem. It's not so much that, I mean, the scholars, of course, different scholars do come with different opinions. Yeah? But, I mean, the sort of thing that you're talking about is not something that, you know, is a difference, is something that scholars differ about. Yeah.
But the thing is that it is a very important issue that has to be addressed. So, what should be our reply to that, or what should be our reply from our scholars?
Like I said, brother, the real problem is this. If the people are in such a state of ignorance that anyone, for example, if you have never read the Quran, okay, in a language that you can understand, yeah, so I can say, you really, what is upon you is you're just going to be following anyone who it comes to your mind that seems to be a person who is a good Muslim and who's a scholar. That's all you're going to think. You don't, because you won't have any other point of reference. You won't be able to say, does that really match with what I remember reading in the Quran? Does that really match with what I remember the Prophet ﷺ saying? If we don't bother to pick up the Quran and read the hadith and this and that and be familiar with them, then, you know, we don't have any capacity to be able to judge these things. This is the problem. The problem is our ignorance. Believe me, if you get knowledge and you study and you learn, then these things will become more and more clear to you. You know, I have to say, by the way, not that this is a dalil, yeah, but even the British government started realizing that most of the people, if not all of the people who have become suicide bombers, are people who do not know anything about the religion, and mostly very ignorant people. In fact, when people actually go to learn Arabic and study the deen, people who are on that way, they leave it. Right? Now, of course, you would say, yeah, but doesn't Bin Laden and Zarqawi and these people, and don't they know Arabic? Don't they know the Quran? Yes, they do. Okay? But really what you have to understand, it becomes very obvious that these individuals are actually motivated by political and ideological motivations. It becomes very clear that when you study things just a little bit more deeply, okay, that they are actually not really able to justify their claims from the text of the Quran. They will use verses of the Quran, they will use certain things, but you will almost find very easily, you don't have to dig very deeply, you will begin to find that they are taken out of context, right? They are failing to reference those things against other statements that contradict the position that they take, right? You'll also find that if you really know who are the scholars, if you really know the scholars are the people who have sat and studied with people who are scholars, who have sat and studied with people who are scholars, and you can trace this all the way back to the time of the Prophet. Yeah? So these people say, yes, this is a person, he is eligible to give fatwa. No one said about bin Laden he is eligible to give. No scholar said he is eligible to give fatwa. No one. He never studied with any of the people of knowledge long enough. He sat with some scholar in Yemen for an amount of time. He has read some books and this, but he has not sat with the ulama and the people said, bin Laden is a man who can give fatwa. Let alone, I mean fatwa, maybe about should he divorce her or this or that, or should you this, but about issues that affect the whole Muslim ummah. These issues should only even be talked about the biggest of all the scholars, because they affect the most type of people. So even if you can give fatwa on issues like this, you need to be in a different category to be able to talk about things like this. Okay? But you will find when you look and you examine, you will find that these people, their motivations are very strongly political, they are ideological, okay? They are often emotional, and those ideological, political, and emotion things, right? They have blinded them, and they are therefore just using the text to justify their idea. This is a very dangerous thing. You have an idea in your mind, and I want to go and find somewhere in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Bhagavad Gita, wherever you like. Any book you can find, some text to justify your position on something. That is not the right way. The right way is to understand everything holistically and to understand it as a whole, and then to surrender yourself to that. Not to make the text surrender to your idea. Right? So when you really begin to look and you see what the text says, there's no way that you could ever claim that Muslims should go up blowing women and children and committing acts of terrorism. Because it's clearly against the texts. And even these people now, you'll find that this Dr. Zarqawi, and apparently, I haven't heard it, but apparently he was actually released a video and denying that he ever, Al-Qaeda has ever called people to blow up civilians and this and that. It's not Al-Qaeda, he's actually denying it now. Because why? The whole tide is turning against these people. Okay, because people are now, unfortunately they didn't have knowledge, but what they're doing is they're seeing the result with their eyes. They're seeing the result. They're seeing what's going on in Iraq. They're seeing that what's all that's happening. Ordinary people are getting massacred. Women, children, Muslim women and children, not even non-Muslims, they're getting massacred. They're just, well, this is ridiculous. How did we ever get to this thing? Because it was wrong from the beginning, and now they're waking up. Okay? So it's something that really, I think, even the blind are beginning to see this. Yeah? And to understand that this is no way is this from the teachings of Islam. Keep your hands clean.
Yeah, I just really agree with you because I've looked into this issue a lot, and there was a Hamas spokesman who said, the reason we do suicide bombings, it's not just because of the reward in paradise, it's also because we don't have helicopters and fighter airplanes, and so it's just angry. People are very angry, and then they'll use their religion to justify it. It's not limited. Islam is most prominent in right now. That's what it's prominent
in the media, but the most suicide bombings have in fact been done by the Tamil Tigers. Yeah. And there's a professor, an American professor who actually did a research paper on it. He found that something like only, I think it was 28% or something like that of actual suicide bombings were done by Muslims. So most of the terrorist actions that are committed are not committed by. So it goes contrary to the saying that, not all Muslims are terrorists, but every terrorist is a Muslim. It's absolutely rubbish.
I was just going to ask you, you say about we should integrate Islam into our daily lives, and we should grow our life. How would you contract people like Islamic Society who say that religion and the state should be separated for the evolution of the nation?
I don't need to contradict him.
No, how would you counteract his claim?
I said that's not what the Quran teaches. The Quran is the word of God. So I don't really care what you say. What do I care what you say? You have your lakum dinakum waliya din. You have your religion, I have mine. So your religion is based on what you believe. That's not what my religion claims. That's what I would say.
But haven't